Hello, you join me on a rather wet Saturday the 22nd of July. The surrounding area doesn't look like much, does it? Typical English housing estate, but hidden away down this road, however, was the Electric Circus, formerly Fife Street Working Men's Club in Nuneaton. A little Googling shows the late performer Larry Grayson performed his first ever show here. The building has quite the claim to fame. Most of us in the UK pinball community know it a little differently, however. For the last 4-ish years it has been home to the Electric Circus, a pinball club and bar run by Steve, the owner. Before Steve was here, I remember he was in a small industrial estate in Stetchford on the outskirts of Birmingham, which was fine, but lacking in space a little. So the Fife Street Club was quite the upgrade. Stepping inside, a door on the right leads to the bar, whereas the door on the left led to the arcade. When I arrived around 12:30 on the rather wet day, pleased to get out of the rain, I found Steve sitting near the bar having some lunch. Nobody else had arrived yet. I said hello, and Steve said I was welcome to flip the machines on. He also immediately informed me Foo Fighters, the newest addition to the arcade, wasn't functioning properly. It's one of the plethora of reasons I'm making this small video to document the final days of the arcade. It closes the weekend of the 30th of July 2023, owing to Steve's declining health, as well as other reasons. The ball wasn't plunging off the auto plunger after the first ball. It gave a weak little push forward, but ultimately failed to do anything. It turned out to be a quick fix, a loose screw upon lifting the playfield around the auto plunger mechanism, which I tightened up, and the game was back in action. Steve let me put some extra credits on to test and make sure it was working properly as a thanks. Although the pain of putting 50 pence in wouldn't have been too much trouble, which was one of the great things Steve did to try to encourage non-players to play the games. Whereas most arcades, if not all I've come across in the UK, charge £1 a go, Steve's games were always set at 50 pence a play, or £1 got you 3 goes. Unfortunately, I'm too young to remember the days when games going up to £1 was a big deal, but it was one of the reasons I like to take trips here. Sure, the games would sometimes have issues, but I don't think anyone who has been into a pinball arcade can claim all the games work faultlessly all the time. By the time I left, several families had arrived, and a couple shortly after I'd walked in. The games were still off at this point, apart from Foo Fighters, which I was fixing, so I informed them how to turn them on. Quickly, the sounds of a game, I think Star Trek The Next Generation, filled the quiet room. The arcade had come to life. I made this trip as a final visit, not being available at the weekend of closure. It was nice to go around and play the games for a final time in the familiar arcade I'd come to know over the last 4 years. When I recorded this video, Steve was still looking for a place to house his games, and the future of the collection was a little uncertain. I'm pleased to say that since then, he struck a deal with Tilt Birmingham to put his games in a pinball cafe located not far from Birmingham New Street Station. So if you're ever in the area, I'd implore you to stop by and have a few games. Although I'm not sure if the 50 pence prices are staying. So I think that's enough rambling from me. I will now leave you with the sounds of the arcade. I'll also pop some links in the description so you can see on the UK Pinball Forum any additional information about the arcade itself and the move to Tilt Birmingham. Once more, thanks again to Steve and team for opening and keeping the place going for the last 4 years. I hope everyone watching this can make it to Birmingham to play the games in the future. For now though, time has to be called on the Electric Circus.
9, 8,